The decision is still a man's to make.
Right.
Is it though always? I just think culturally,
I think culturally
is what we say.
it is. I think culturally,
Yes.
that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
The original question was,
Yes.
is it nature or
Yeah.
nurture? I think a lot of it is the culture that gives that power
I agree.
to men. Now, it's a difficult power to have because with power comes responsibility and hurt and risk and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But, even to this day, as you said, Tracy, if a woman crosses that dance floor to ask, she's aggressive. It's an unattractive quality. So
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Mo Perspective, aka your average logical thinker. I wanted to review this video. I actually saw the title of it and I said, ooh, this looks like it's going to be a real good one. I'm sure the red pill community can take this and do some things with it. But when I actually started listening to it, it was kind of not too much, but I did find one clip that I said, okay, maybe I can react to this. But Michelle Obama and her brother just started a new podcast, and this may be like the second or third episode. On this episode, they have Tracee Ellis Ross, which is Diana Ross's daughter, but she's not really known for being Diana Ross's daughter. She has been on a lot of television shows. I remember her as Joan on Girlfriends, which I absolutely love that show. I still watch that show sometimes when I'm sick or laid up and I just want something to fall asleep to. I'll put that on and just let it play. And then her role in Blackish, and I know she's done some other things and some moves and things like that, but she's really good at what she does and just a very charismatic person. But anyways, she is an older lady, right? She's in her 40s and she's single and she's childless. And so she's on Michelle Obama's podcast and having discussions about that. And I thought that the title is really interesting as far as what a choiceful woman actually is. And so the clip that we're going to review, I hope I don't get copy struck or whatever, because this is, Michelle Obama. So hopefully the fact that I am reacting to it, YouTube will just let me rock. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. But in this particular clip that I'm going to review, they're talking. First of all, a guy writes in a letter, right? Asking advice. He writes in, this guy named Roman, and he's asking a question about, being heartbroken from the last person and then the last person, and that his friends are advising him to just be by himself for a little bit, take some time. That way he gets to know him, enjoy himself. That way he can be a whole person when he goes into another relationship. But he doesn't think that that is necessary. So he's writing the letter into Michelle and her brother for Tracee Ellis to also answer this question. So Tracee Ellis and Michelle and her brother all veer off, pivot to something completely different, which is what we're going to review. And then they end up coming back, bringing things back around and addressing Roman's letter. But nevertheless, let's get into it. And you guys let me know what you think in the comments, okay?
That men, it's timing? Or is it, I don't know, it's just nature or nurture?
Yeah. I think a lot of it is cultural.
The question is about men and their timing when they are ready to finally get married. Okay, so that's what they kind of start off at. After listening to Roman's letter, this is where they go.
Interesting coming from a 40-ish man.
Yeah, I like it.
Because men can marry when they choose to, just like you did.
I thought that was so interesting what you said. When you asked Craig that question, I think it's timing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That when a guy feels they're ready, then who's
They
in
just
front of
pick.
you.
Right.
Just crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's crazy.
So crazy.
It is crazy.
And then it
It's
takes
like-
your second marriage to figure out
Yeah.
you need to be discerning.
And for
Yes.
some people, like
I
they
know,
don't
I know.
fourth, or they never figure it out.
I know.
It's just
I know,
like
I know.
Fascinating.
My technique for the second one I thought was pretty good.
I think that is real. I thought that was really helpful for other people to hear. The other thing I'm curious is that cultural that men, it's timing? Or is it, I don't know, it's just nature or nurture?
Yeah. I think a lot of it is cultural, right?
Okay, before they continue, what do you guys think? Do you guys think it's a cultural thing or just natural, the way men are? I'm not a man, so I don't know, and I can't speak for men, obviously. But what is that? Also, did you guys notice what Michelle said? I secretly be thinking she be throwing digs at Barack. She said some men still ain't figured it out. Is she talking about? I don't know. She didn't accompany him to a couple of things lately. So there's rumors out there. I don't know. But yeah, tell me, what do you guys think? Is it a cultural thing? Do men, when they're ready, whoever they're with, that's who they end up with? Or like, so, because there was another TikTok that came in, I think it was TikTok or Instagram post, where a girl was describing her brother who had been with a woman for like 7 years. They broke up and he got married to another woman that he was only with for like 8 months. You know what I'm saying? So she was just like, this is crazy, you know? But so is it, what is it? Is it, because to me, that just sounds like that woman that he was with for years just wasn't it. She wasn't what he was looking for, you know? And we have to stop putting all of the blame on the man for wasting the woman's time, because the woman herself has the autonomy to walk away. Just like this video is titled Being a Choiceful Woman. That means you got choices. We all have choices, and some of us decide to stay and some of us decide to pick up, you know, our dignity, hold it, and walk the fuck away, right? So choices, choices, choices. But I would be curious to know what you guys think about that. Do men just marry when they're ready and whoever they're with, that's who they settle with? Or do they wait until they find the one that's worth marrying? But let's get back.
Right? We grow up waiting to be chosen,
Yeah.
you know? At the school dance, you don't get to dance, or at least in our generation, you didn't get to dance if somebody didn't ask you to dance.
Yeah. And then if you are the chooser, then men are like, you're aggressive.
Oh my gosh, there wasn't any choosing.
Well, now for my generation.
Yeah,
Or I don't
yeah.
I don't even know my generation. For me.
Yeah.
Can I give you just a little
Please.
bit of a different thought process
Okay,
behind
yes. That's why you're here.
it? Imagine
Mm.
as a 17-year-old
Mhm.
and you're walking into a sock hop, which I use for effect, but a
Yeah,
dance,
but there are a lot
party.
of kids going, what
What is
What's
that?
a
What
sock
are your
hop?
socks
What's a
have to do with
sock-
Yeah,
anything?
you go, but we used to have these sock
It's a
hops,
school
or it's a
dance.
school
Okay.
dance. So
17-year-old saying, what is a soccer? I promise you, there's not one 17-year-old watching this interview. I can promise you that.
ask somebody to dance, and they say no, thank you.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
And then you go to ask the next person, and they say no, thank
Oh,
you.
no, I don't like this.
But that's how it was.
Yeah, that's hard. That's very
how
hard.
it was.
Mhm.
So the question you have to ask yourself as a guy is, do I just take what I have, or do I take the chance of asking the next person and they say no?
Yeah, the courage.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
You know, and it
that's
is-
real.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
real. So
It's an important perspective
yes,
for sure.
Yes.
And it is hard, but ultimately you choose, right? It's scary, but you know, so imagine the girl who is standing in the same sock hop with her shoes off now, all embarrassed because she's standing in her socks.
See what I have
Waiting
to put up with?
to,
Yo, Michelle is a savage. Did you guys catch that? She said, that's an important perspective. However, that's just the way it is. The men have to be the approacher. You guys are the ones that are supposed to get shot down. Like, it is what it is. It's a rite of passage. It is what it is. Michelle ain't no joke.
waiting to be asked, and people are just passing her by, you know, and they're a bunch of shy boys not even trying.
Mhm.
Whereas a guy can decide that the decision is still a
Yeah.
man's to make.
Right.
No, is it though always? I just think culturally,
I think
that is what we
culturally
say.
it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think culturally,
Yes.
that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
The original question was,
Yes.
is it nature or
Yeah.
nurture? I think a lot of it is the culture
Yeah.
that gives that power
I agree.
to men. Now, it's a difficult power to have because with power comes responsibility and hurt and risk and all that.
Mhm.
But, you know, even to this day, as you said, Tracy, if a woman crosses that dance floor to ask, she's aggressive. It's an unattractive quality. So now I either wait to
I
dance
wouldn't
or I
say
don't
that.
dance or
I
at
don't-
all.
I don't necessarily.
What do you guys think about that first part? That it's a cultural, that culture decides whether a man will approach a woman or not? Can you guys fully explain that to me? Is that along the lines of the whole Me Too thing? Like, as far as like, if culture now says it's okay for men to grab a woman's ass, then men will do it. Like, is that what they're saying? Because I'm not fully understanding, but I'm slow. So y'all let me know.
Agree with that.
Okay.
And I also would say, as a boy or a young man, if a woman walked across the floor and asked me to dance, it was no way I was going to say no.
Well, I think obviously there's all different kinds of people.
Yes.
There's
Yeah.
all different kind. I mean, and you know, then we're not even entering into the gender fluidity within this conversation.
You're right.
That is so much a part of what the younger generation is.
I'm also wondering, guys, and I'm sorry for interrupting. Well, I'm not sorry because I plan to do this because I don't know if they're going to cut my stuff. Why is Tracee Ellis Ross so... Where's the glam? Why did she have the French braids going back? No jewelry, just plain face, leather jacket. Like, do you think she did that on purpose? Like, did she do that because she didn't want to outshine Michelle Obama? Was she told to do that? Do you think she just made the decision to do that? Because I just find it interesting. Like, no glam. She doesn't even have lipstick on. Like, look at her. She might have a light face on, a natural. But when I first saw it, I said, whoa, where's the glam? Like, how come she's got beautiful, curly hair. How come her hair is not all done? She doesn't have any lipstick on. She's not wearing a dress. Like, this is interesting. Maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but I know for a fact that I've sometimes kind of, dressed a little more modest depending on who I was going to be around, especially if that person had a husband or a boyfriend or something like that I knew was going to be in the, you know what I'm saying? I would have to be very mindful of things like that. So maybe that's the case here. I don't know. I just find it really interesting that she's not glam like at all. And this is Michelle Obama's podcast that's probably on like major platforms,
making sense of. And I think they're actually doing that really beautifully.
I do too.
And I've learned so much from the gender conversation and how it's expanded. I've learned so much about myself and what are the expectations that I didn't know were expectations about being a woman that I'm like, oh, I don't need to own that because I just thought that was a given. But now I know it's not,
Yo, how the fuck you gonna let somebody tell you who you are and what you can and can't do as a woman? I'm confused. Don't make me lose respect for you, Tracee Ellis Ross, but I digress.
But I think the societal norm, yes. I mean, I had a guy say to me recently, yeah, you can't make a man do anything he doesn't want to do. But culturally, you can make a woman do a lot of things she doesn't want to do because we're trained culturally to acquiesce in that way, that's our role, that we are. But I mean,
not anymore. And that's the thing. This is what these Democrats, and I don't mean to make it political, but this is what they do. They try to make it seem like the Republicans and our current administration is taking away women's powers to do. You still have a choice to get an AB if you want to. If a man says, come sleep with me, whatever, you still have a choice to say, no, I don't want to. If a man touches you inappropriately, you still have a right to go to HR and complain about that person or sue the company and win. So this narrative that they like to push is ridiculous and so not true, because at the end of the day, they may have put choiceful in quotes. We still absolutely have choices. Okay. We just have to use discernment. We have to do it. We have to use it in a way that's going to keep us safe and benefit us for the most part.
This guy, Ronan, I love the question because first of all, what I will say to Ronan is no one knows you better than you.
That's right.
And your friends can have all the suggestions in the world. And some of them might be helpful ones. And some of them might be ones you want to consider. Yeah. And then I think the thing that you have to do is ask yourself, does that feel right for me? Does that really feel like what's going to get the growth to happen?
Yeah.
And sometimes not dating helps people discover that. And sometimes dating is the thing that helps people discover that.
Well, and it's interesting when I think, to your point, Craig, when you were, you had your 32 list item, that was all about Kelly. Right. I mean, and that's sometimes what we do. Forget you. Yep. I think that's what a lot of people do. It's like, there's a list of things that I need in the other person.
Right.
And and some of them, a lot of them are superficial, like height and career and income and what school you went to. Right.
Listen, some of that stuff is important.
But it's all about the other person meeting a checklist. What Ronan's friends are suggesting, and what I agree on, is like, okay, there's that list about the other person, but what's your list? What is your 32-point list about yourself that you need to explore? And I think a lot of men
don't.
And I hate to generalize like that, but so many women are self-reflective in our groups. We live in conversation. We live in a social world where we're constantly analyzing ourselves and each other in our conversations. This is the dialogue of women, and men aren't doing that as much. I think the younger generation is doing it more.
Yeah, I do see a lot more of it. I see a lot of it online, and I really celebrate it. Yeah. I think it's beautiful to see men have these deeper conversations about who they are and what they want. But the norm is no. And then the other thing to me is the invitation, right? It's like, yes, that's the cultural norm, but the invitation is really to remind everyone, men and women, to take into account who they are and what is important to you. You know, is somebody's height the most important thing to you? And why?
Why?
Is it because of what other people see, or is it because of you? You know what I mean? Like, what is it? And I think those reflective questions not only help you in dating, they just help you in life.
So let's help Ron. What are some of these questions he should be asking himself?
Well,
all right. If y'all want to see the whole thing, you can. Regarding the advice that they gave Ronan, who wants to continue dating, but his friends thinks that he should take a break. His friends think that he should take a break and focus on him. And I think they gave some really good advice. And those are really good questions that I think a lot of people don't take the time to ask. It's like, well, I know that I got to have somebody that has a beard and a six pack. Well, why though? What does that really do for you? You know, besides the superficial aspect of it looks good, you know, dig deep. Think to yourself, why do I? Is it because I know my friends would approve? Is it because I know that people wonder, how on earth did she get him? Like, why do we want the certain things that we desire in a partner? Or at least, why is it on the list? Like, why is it, why is it on the list? I think these are very good questions, because the more you know yourself, the easier it will be for you to detect what's for you and what's not for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talked about this before, as far as like wasting people's time. I don't like to waste anybody's time, and I sure as hell don't like to waste mine. So me knowing who I am and what I like and what I don't like instantaneously, if somebody displays that, depending on the situation, I bow out, because I know that this is something long-term. You know, I may be able to put it on the back burner. Me and Joe was having a conversation. Shout out to Joe. Love him so much. He's not mad at me anymore. So he might be back on the platform soon, hopefully one day. But we were talking about this yesterday, and we were talking about relationships, or one thing that he has noticed about women is that if women have a difference of perspective or opinion on something, then that's a complete turn off to them, and they will cancel the relationship, or, you know, bow out because the man has a different opinion from them. And I could see that in certain aspects. And I think it really just depends on what the topic is. You know, if it's something egregious and a woman realizes that you're into something that's just like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? Or that you're complicit in certain things that are just not right. I think, you know, she would be well within her rights to bow out of something like that. But we do have to live in a world where it's okay to have differing perspectives on things and see life differently and still be able to coexist. But I think that men can coexist with a woman that doesn't see eye to eye with him because he wants what's in between her legs, and he's willing to put aside his point of view for the sake of getting what's in between her legs. Whereas women, you know, if a man says something that is just completely obnoxious and irritating and it turns us off, or at least I'm speaking for me, and it turns me off, it's really hard to get that back.
The way you breathe, talk, walk, dress, how your hair look, any little thing will give me the ick, and I will be so cool off you. Like, I don't know why I'm like that. Like,
you know what I'm saying? And so sometimes I'm not at a point where I can put certain things to the side just in order to lay down with a man. I just can't. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's one thing that differs between men and women, is that men can deal with a lot because his end goal is different than ours, you know? But anyways, that's a whole tangent, a whole nother thing. If you guys want to check out that whole interview, it is on Michelle Obama's channel, which I showed right there. Go on there and watch the whole interview. There was another part of the interview in the beginning when Tracy first comes on where she talks about dating younger men. She also attributed her dating younger men to the fact that she lives a very, very full life right now. And so it kind of affords her the opportunity to maybe meet younger men. And also, you know, she doesn't have to depend on that younger man as she probably would if he was older, you know, because sometimes we look for people that are the same age so that they can complement and bring to our life and we can build together. But she's basically saying if she doesn't need to build, when she's already got a full, complete life, she just wants him for exactly what it is that he brings to the table. You know, it's not, she wants what he has, but she doesn't need what he has, kind of thing. So I think but anyways, it's an interesting conversation. Go back to the beginning of the part when she comes on there. Anyways, thank you guys for being here. Drop down in the comments, tell me what you think about this interview with Michelle and Tracee Ellis Ross. I may watch the rest to see if anything else interesting pops that we could go over, but I doubt it. But that is what it is. This was my reaction for today. But you guys take care. Take care. Love each other. Love yourselves. Learn yourself and love each other. Till then, bye.